everyone. Guys, gals, non-binary pals. It's me, it's MCZX. And as you can tell by the audio, I'm back at my old setup. So things are going to sound much clearer this time around. The first book review we didn't have a title. I believe we reviewed Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. You should listen to that if you didn't, especially if you're new here. Check that out. I think I'm going to name this series Non-Spoiler. And I want to set a couple rules for this series. It's like a little sister series to Simply Complicated. In Non-Spoiler, I cannot give any major spoilers away for the book. I have to remain within 3 minor spoilers if I'm using that to like explain an example. You know, like this is why this character is such and such, or this is why such and such is such. You know what I'm saying? If that would be the reason I do a spoiler. I'm only limited to 3, but the whole point of non-spoilers is to review books that I finished reading. And I feel like you should check it out. Not all the books are going to be perfect. They may not be a jam, but I think the ones I cover during this little series are worth a listen. At the very least, you know, I think we need to read more as a society, and we don't do that. And there's really no excuse because we have Audible, and you can literally have a narrator read to you, and you can get immersed in fantasy, romance, whatever the case may be, action adventure, whatever's your jam, sci-fi. You can get immersed in that and have a fantastic experience. And I know some of you are old school and you would like to have the book in your hand and read it, and you get to be the narrator. And that's cool. We should all read more. And why should I keep my opinions on books I finish to myself when I can share them with you all? So welcome to the second episode of Non-Spoiler. The first episode was the choppy cell phone recording when it didn't have a title. Today, we are going to be talking about The Blood Trials by Davenport. And if you're listening to it on Audible, it's narrated by Jeanette Illich, who did a fantastic job. I add, she is the perfect narrator for this series. If anyone else reads this series, I will be very offended because Miss Illich, did her job. She gave every character a distinct voice, a distinct attitude, a distinct everything. She made everyone feel unique. It didn't just feel like she's just reading page for page. She actually became the characters. And that's what I like. When I hear a book on Audible, I prefer the narrator actually get into it. So I'm not filling in those spots that they're not filling in. Fantastic narrator, Jeanette Illich. Thank you for reading that book. And thankfully, she's reading the second book because this is a duology, The Blood Gift. Duology is what it's called. And instead of me jumping directly into my opinion of the book and whether if you should read it and if it should be ranked and whatever, or give it a rating, I want to read the summary first so you can make the decision for yourself if you would want to get into this book. I didn't do that last episode, and I was thinking about it over the week, and I'm like, man, I should have read the summary of Tomorrow if I, didn't explain it properly. So we're going to read the summary first, and then I'm going to get into my thoughts without spoiling the book. We're not spoiling the book. We'll get into my thoughts after that, okay? And I guess we'll rate it. I think ratings, it's subjective. It depends on how you feel about it, but we'll get to it. So this is the summary of The Blood Trials. It's not giving everything away now. This is just what the book's about, just in case you're new and don't know what a summary is. So here we go. Blending fantasy and science fiction, Davenport's fast-paced, action-packed debut kicks off a duology of loyalty and rebellion in which a young black woman must survive deadly trials in a racist and misogynistic society to become an elite warrior. It's all about blood. The blood spilled between the Republic of Marine and the armies of the Blood Emperor long ago. The blood gifts of Marine's deadliest enemies. The blood that runs through the elite warhouses of Marine, the rulers of the tribunal dedicated to keeping their republic alive. The blood of the former legatus, Vern Amari, murdered. For his granddaughter, Akina, the only thing steady in her life was the man who had saved Maureen, the man who had trained her in secret, not just in martial arts, but in harnessing the blood gift that coursed through her. Who trained her to keep that a secret? But now, there's too many secrets. And with her grandfather assassinated, Akenna knows two things: that only someone on the tribunal could have ordered his death, and that a Praetorian guard could have carried out that order. Bent on revenge as much as discovering the truth, Akenna pledges herself to the Praetorian trials, a brutal initiation that only a quarter of aspirants survive. She subjects herself to racism directed against her half-Canadian heritage and the misogyny of a society that cherishes progeny over prodigy, all while hiding a power that, if found out, would subject her to execution or worse. Akenna is willing to risk it all because she needs to find out who murdered her grandfather, and then she needs to kill them. Maureen has been at peace for a long time. Akenna joining the Praetorians is about to change all of that. Magic and technology converge in the first part of this stunning debut duology, where loyalty to oneself and one's blood is more important than anything. Now, that's the blood trials. Not in a nutshell, because I can't give away any of the juicy parts, and I am itching to give it away, but I can't. I don't even want to give a minor spoiler away, because despite reading the summary, I still believe you're going in blind. You know what the book's about, but you're still going in blind. You have no idea where this book's going to take you. That's how I felt when I also read the summary for the first time and had the book narrated to me by Miss Jeanette Ilridge. I'm going to talk about the story without spoiling it. Like I said, first couple chapters, you might just say, this isn't for me. I swear, once you get to like the trials and after graduation and stuff, it gets bad. Like, in a good way. Like, not bleak bad, but bad as in, this is some badassery we're about to come across. And what is happening here? It's so hostile in here. What's going on? If you power through the first chapter, to me, really, hold on. About to correct myself. Really, the first chapter, it's pretty enticing because you do get to see a lot, but you don't really like latch on to the characters till like maybe the third, fourth chapter, maybe the second chapter, even the first chapter. I was hooked after the second chapter, personally. I really think you'll love this book if you just go for the story. The story itself is very complex. Like they said, loyalty is trusted. There's secrets abound. There's a lot of dealing with self, and grief is explored a lot in this book. The grief and dealing with it and trying to get through it for a bigger reason. Like the summary said, she's trying to find out who killed her grandfather. Let me shut up. I almost spoiled something. Shut up. Let me shut the hell up. I have to stop myself with this because I don't want to slip up and say something and then we have to just completely hear that I just spoiled this book for you when I really want you to read it. The characters, as I said before, Jeanette Ilridge really made all the characters feel unique. I think if you just read this book, you can feel how each character is completely unique. It's not like these are background characters. You're going to get attached to the good ones, and you're going to want the worst for the bad ones. I'll put it like that. If anyone is being a complete dick in this book, you want them to suffer the worst fate. I know I did because, it's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. I don't think this is a spoiler because it's quite obvious from maybe the fourth or fifth chapter. But there's a guy named Chance. And all I'm going to say about Chance is a complete and utter dickhead. I'll leave it at that. He's the worst of the worst. I didn't like the way he talked to Akenna at all. You have her friends, or two close friends. You got Zane and you got Celine. Great characters. I enjoy them. You're going to meet some other people along the way that you may think, these are great characters. I hope they all make it through these trials, because the trials are brutal. They may have been some of the most brutal things I've heard a 19-year-old have to go through, or 18-year-old even. Imagine graduating, right? And you declare you want to join, like, let's say the Marines or the Navy or something, the Green Berets, something like that, right? And you go through hell, literal hell. You can literally die during the trials. And it's A-okay, because this is to be expected. The best of the best have to survive. And anyone that comes short will not make it. Simple as that. The blood trials are very, very brutal. There were certain points in the book I'm like, this is unnecessary, right? Like, I get training people and then pushing them to their limits, but there are some things that happen that made me say, all right, what is the point of having these trials if I'm just gonna, let me shut up. Shut up, sir. Shut up. Because I almost said something that's kind of a minor spoiler, but we're not doing any minor spoilers. Guys, this is hard for me. This is very hard. Guys, gals, non-binary pals, this is not easy because I want to say so much, but I have to hold myself back because I want you to experience this book like I experienced the book. It's a ride. There's no other way to put it. It's a ride. And I think it's good enough to be adapted into some form of media that's not a book. Like, this can easily be, from this first book, a 2-season show on HBO or Stars or Showtime. It could be an animated series. Hell, it could be a movie split into 2. Because there's no way you can fit all that in one movie. Everything that I read in this book. I would be very upset if no one picked this up like in the next couple years, because I'm not sure how adapting books to television or to movies work, but I'm sure you can get a lot out of this first book. You could probably get 3 seasons, honestly, if we just focus on the world building and leading up to, Vern Amari getting assassinated or murdered, rather. Like, we can get to that and off of 3 seasons. So I really feel like if you like, I don't want to compare it to Game of Thrones because I don't think this is anything like Game of Thrones. And plus, I feel like I can't compare anything to Game of Thrones, thus me not watching it. It doesn't give that vibe, but I feel like it can get the type of budget Game of Thrones had. And I'm not talking about the early season when it looked real ugly. I'm talking about like what people are fawning over now. Hell, it could even go to Amazon Prime and get like the Lord of the Rings budget that's currently happening, right? Seriously, this needs to be adapted into something because this needs to be seen on the big screen. Like, I feel like people are missing out on a great adventure because it's a book and people don't read enough books to go on adventures. So why not adapt this? Like, an animated series would be crazy. I think the Blood Trials as an animated series, man, you'll be hooked. That's 4 seasons right there. Ain't no way. That's 4 whole seasons. Imagine if this was an anime. If this was an anime, it's 4 seasons off the first book alone. Guaranteed. Guarantee it. Oh, man, I want to say so much more, and I can't. The world building is also done very well. Any Davenport really fleshed this out. It's not like they say Marine and don't explain what Marine is or what a Praetorian is or what the Legatus is or, hold on, it's like, I'm making sure I'm saying this other part right. The Canaian, they explain what the Canaians are. Like, everything is fleshed out. All the exposition is there, so you're not just confused. I mean, I think you can get confused if you don't pay attention to what's going on in the chapters. Because I know some people will hear a lot of descriptive stuff. You'll hear descriptions of what they're talking about and kind of like zone off. Like, huh? I didn't catch any of that, right? Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel like I can't say anything else. The story is fantastic. The characters are great. I like the world building. It's not like pretentious, when it comes to the world building. It's pretty straightforward. If you ever dealt with racism, it's going to hit home. Racism, bigotry and racism, if that's something that you or your family have ever had to deal with, when they start talking about the world building and why things are the way they are, I'm like, oh, this sounds like America. Or how black people are treated everywhere around the world. It sounds like that. Except Akenna could like whoop your ass. Easy. She's strong. She's a strong 19-year-old. She's like the best of her class. The racism's there, the misogyny's there, and they don't hold back on the misogyny, by the way. It's there because she's a woman, and I'm like, damn, there's no reason for her to be getting treated this way just because she's a woman and she's better than 98% of the class. But, I don't know if I feel like you will If you've ever had to deal with misogyny, you will relate to this book as well, especially if you're very talented at what you do and some guy thinks you're not talented because you're a woman. And that's pretty shitty if you ask me. I'm not going over 30 minutes with this. I feel like I should wrap this up soon because I'm itching to talk about the blood gift and what the blood gift is and why you shouldn't have the blood gift. But again, I can't do it because I care about this book and I want you to go in blind. Really do. I feel if I were to explain what the blood gift is, I've spoiled something and I just can't do that. I cannot live with myself and do that because you should seriously experience this blind and go straight into it. So to wrap it up, if I had to give this a rating, I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a fantastic book. It hit every point with the bullseye. Racism, the misogyny, the bigotry, the loyalty, the secrets, all of that. Bullseye, 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 bullseye. It's not easy to really predict what's going on because there's twists and turns everywhere in this book. What did I say? I think I just said when I reviewed it, I just want it adapted. And the main character is a complete badass. It's a great fantasy book. You should totally read it. If you have a weak stomach, don't. The blood trials is going to make you probably turn it off. If you're not a fan of descriptions of violence, you're probably going to turn it off. You can't get past the blood trials. And, well, you can't be a Praetorian. I'll tell you that. You can't get past what's going on there. You're going to be pretty upset. I really hope this gets adapted into something. Seriously, please, producers, anyone that can hear this, someone read this book and get to adapting because it needs to be on the big screen. It's great. I've said that already. Action's great. The plot's great. You know. So consider the blood trials for my anime people out there. It's like the Chunin exams, but worse. Let's just say they're worse. This is a 5 out of 5 solid. Please read the book. If you're going to listen to it on Audible, it's a long listen and I'm sure a long read. The entire book is 18 hours and 20 minutes to be exact. You're not going to finish this in a day because you're a human being. There's no way you can unless you're a robot. You might want to spread out a week if you're going to listen to this on Audible. If you're going to read it, I suggest you read it and you don't put it down. Like you take an hour or two a day to read this book to try to speed through it because you're going to enjoy the adventure you go on. The friends you make, people you lose, the secrets untold and uncovered. Why is this gift so bad? I want to tell y'all so bad, but this is a hug. We're hugging right now. We're hugging. I'm patting you on the back, and I'm going to whisper in your ear, go read the blood trials. Go read it. Okay, Annie Davenport did a fantastic job. I cannot wait to read The Blood Gift so I can tell y'all how great that book is, and if it's better than the first book. You will hear from me again as soon as I finish another book or something else I want to share with you all. This is MCZX. Thank you for listening to Non-Spoiler. And I'll see you all next time. Take care, be good, give yourself a try, and give yourself some grace. Don't be so hard on yourself. Go read more books, have more fun, go on more adventures, and hug yourself today. All right? I love you. Bye.